Listen, remember your defense. Points to come. Concentrate, focus, power. Remember balance. Make goof fight. Point for running out of the ring once more across your point. And guard. Ready? Guard. Fight. On your line. That's 1 point round kick. Fight. Was only a man and a man's got a little time. You're the gold gotta hang up to make it.
I'm having a hard time turning it off, sweetie.
You know why?
Oh my gosh. We just did a podcast where songs that kind of get your heart going. This has got to be in there for you. But I got to do this, sweetie.
It's because
that's for us.
You're the best around, Todd.
That's right.
Hey, everybody.
What are
we? Welcome to Zen Pop Parenting. Welcome to our show where Gen X pop culture meets real life reflection. You know what we're doing? We are connecting families through movies, music, and meaning. And there's a lot of meaning in Johnny from The Karate Kid.
That's right. But we're not doing it just on Johnny.
We kind of are.
Well, we're doing it on the actor.
We're doing it. Well, let's think about it this way.
Okay.
Johnny has a lot connected to him because he wasn't just in The Karate Kid.
No.
What Johnny was or is a representation of a bully.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's a very Gen X bully.
Mm-hmm.
To Todd's point, he didn't just play a bully in Karate Kid.
Yeah.
He was a bully in other movies as well, which we're about to get to. And it had a really big effect on us Gen Xers and how we saw bullying. So we will talk about the other movies he was in, things he has done, and of course, where he is now with Cobra Kai. So much to discuss.
But it kind of gives us an opportunity to talk about a lot of these other kind of random 80s and 90s movies that we never would be able to talk about had it not been for
Good point.
Johnny Lawrence from The Karate Kid.
Right. Or we know him now with his name, William Zabka, or when he was young, Billy Zabka. Thank you.
Did he pull Billy Corgan for a while wanted to be known as William Corgan? Is that what Billy Zabka did?
Well, I think from my understanding is that when he was in these movies early on in the 80s, he was young. He was 17, 18, 19, 20. So he's Billy. Yeah. I think as you get older,
Don't say that to my colleague Billy Jolly, who's 60-something. He's still Billy.
Well, my name is Kathleen, and I go by Cathy. So I actually, when I got to college, I think all my name tags said Kathleen.
Yeah.
But I didn't stick with it.
Yeah.
So, we don't always, but I think we can just go with whatever feels right today.
So I'm still kind of figuring out what this podcast is all about. And I'm developing a deeper appreciation for it because I thought we were just going to kind of do what we did before with pop culturing, but we're really trying to bring some of the best elements of Zen parenting to this podcast. So, and this is an easy one, obviously, because Johnny was a bully, but we're also going to have fun and talk about this actor and the roles that he was in. So, how do we want to start? Do we want to set the scene?
Let's set the scene.
All right. So we do have sound effects for each of these categories, and this is us setting the scene, everybody. All right. So are we going to set the scene with William Zabka, with Karate Kid, all the above?
About the movies that William Zabka was in so people can get an understanding of why.
Oh, that's a lot of setting the scene.
Yeah, let's keep setting it. So obviously, let's start with The Karate Kid.
Yeah.
1984. So if you listened last week, we talked about The Outsiders, which was 1983. If you listened the week before, we talked about MTV, which was 1981. So we just so happened to be going in this linear fashion. I don't think it'll always be that way.
It's by accident.
But Karate Kid, 1984. And then in 1985, what movie did he do?
Well, first of all, sweetie, you skipped over his role in The Greatest American Hero.
Oh, Oh,
in 1983.
I loved that show.
Yeah, I'm on his IMDb right now. So the 1985 is Just One of the Guys.
He played a guy named Greg Tolan.
And then also in 1985.
Which, before you get to him,
Yeah.
Greg Tolan in Just One of the Guys is Johnny.
Yeah.
His name's Greg, but it's the exact same archetype.
Not a big stretch.
No.
Although he wore these gloves in Just One of the Guys.
He sure did. He liked to flip tables.
I don't think Johnny in Karate Kid did that. And later on that year, National Lampoon's European Vacation, 1985. And then the next year, 1986, Back to School.
Which you can do all the talking you want about Back to School. I will not be doing that.
Oh, sweetie, I'm going to talk all about Back to School. And then it's a whole bunch of stuff I've never heard of. A lot of TV movies, a lot of TV series. I'm trying to get to Hot Tub Time Machine in 2010.
Was he in Hot Tub Time Machine?
Apparently, I saw that movie. I didn't particularly like it.
You and I saw it in the theater. Can you believe that?
And then he was on Psych in 2014.
It's our show. Well, of course he was, because what Psych does is they bring in actors from the 80s.
Yes.
So they had a lot of that representation.
He played Johnny in How I Met Your Mother, which is a show you and I never watched.
Right.
And then 2020, along comes Cobra Kai.
Yeah. And it brought back his, what he was most known for. So, just a few things about these movies that he was in or how he was represented when we were growing up. Obviously in Karate Kid, which, we played some of Karate Kid there at the beginning with You're the Best Around. He was the guy who went after Daniel. He was the guy that Daniel was going to have to fight. He was the guy that was the villain. He was like a very clean cut bad guy. At least he was in Karate Kid 1. Okay. Don't you think it was pretty clean cut? They didn't give him a lot of room.
No, not a lot of range. He was He was the bad guy.
Yeah, he was the villain.
He was the blonde hair, blue eyes, very pretty looking dude.
Very good looking guy.
Which is, I guess, I don't know, maybe bullies are always portrayed as being pretty, but Johnny's kind of pretty.
Yes. And then just a little bit about Just One of the Guys, which Todd and I realized that we will never on this show be able to talk about this movie except right now.
That's right.
But we do want to talk about it because he and I both watched it a lot.
Yeah.
I've seen Just One of the Guys. Gosh, I can't even count. And I had the flu a couple months ago and I watched it. So it's very much in my mind, and I can't believe that movie. But I can because I watched it when I was young, but to watch it again is pretty crazy. And that story is about a girl named Terry, played by Joyce Heiser, who decides that she's not getting fair treatment at her school. That it's a gender inequality issue, which I appreciate. And she wants to go to a new school, pretend she's a guy, and be a journalist there so she can win an award. That's what she's trying to do, is be a journalist. And she ends up, falling in love with a guy, and she ends up being bullied by Greg Tolman, who is her buddy, William Zabka. And it's a whole thing. And Todd likes this movie because of this character named
Buddy. Yeah.
Do you have any clips of Buddy?
I don't know. I mean, I have the trailer that you sent to me. Should we play a little bit of the trailer just to?
I actually put that under WTF, but if you would like to play it now.
No, let's save it.
Okay.
But yeah, so Buddy is the younger brother of Terry. And Buddy is just like this walking hormone, testosterone, sex driven 15-year-old or 14-year-old.
Basically the movie Porky's in a human being.
Yeah.
It's so over the top.
Yeah.
And so inappropriate.
Yes.
And how old is this kid who's playing this character?
I don't know, but he is hilarious. I mean, once you get past his just need to want and talk about sex all the time, it's super funny. I think he's the best part of the movie as far as I'm concerned.
Well, we were just talking about change of names. When he was in that movie, he went by Billy Jacoby. And then when he got older and was acting, he went by Billy Jane.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he changed his name.
Oh, I've never seen him in anything other than that.
He was in Silver Spoons.
He was?
Yes.
Here we are,
face to face,
a couple of silver spoons.
I mean, can't you see Billy Jacoby in Silver Spoons?
Oh, for sure. With Justin Bateman.
With
Jason Bateman.
That'd be Jason Bateman.
Not Justine Bateman.
Exactly. So yeah, Jason Bateman was great in Silver Spoons as well. They kind of play a similar kind of character, like dry humor, but yes.
It's one of my favorite TV theme songs.
Is it?
Yeah.
Face to face, a couple of silver spoons, and to find we're two of a kind. Make it a go, Making it all together.
Erin Gray, I had a big crush on her.
Yes, you did.
In that show, he had a bunch of arcade games in his bedroom or in the living room, and he had a game called Dragon's Lair, which was most guys' favorite game for a while because it was more of a cartoon than a normal Space Invaders Karate Champ type.
A little more to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was at the time Ricky Schroeder, then became Rick Schroeder, and now is questionable in some areas of life. But anyway, going back to just one of the guys. So what I was laughing about is who is in this movie, because Joyce Heiser is the lead, and I don't know if she's been in anything else. The guy who plays Rick, who she falls in love with, Clayton Royner.
Never heard of
him. Then we've got, Billie Jane. Then we've got Tony Hudson played Denise. Who's that? Then we do have somebody that was in a few things. Lee McCluskey.
Who's that?
He played Terry's boyfriend from the other high school. He was like the college guy.
Oh, yeah.
He was in Dallas. He was Lucy Ewing's husband.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he had a little bit of
And Sherilyn
clout.
Fenn was in that movie too, right?
Correct. She's the next. Well, then it's William Zabka, Greg Tolan, that's who we're talking about today. And then Sherilyn Fenn was Sandy.
Big fan of Sherilyn Fenn, especially in Two Moon Junction.
Correct.
But we're not going to talk about that.
We're not going to talk about that movie. I don't think we'll ever talk about that movie unless.
Did you think the dude in Two Moon Junction, he's like the long-haired
guy,
he
yeah.
looked like a god.
Yeah.
Were you attracted to him, or was that not your style?
I saw Two Moon Junction in college, and I think it was a little beyond me.
Yeah.
I don't think I was there.
And Christy McNichol was in there, and she showed her breasts.
She did.
And she was like America's sweetheart, like when she was a little kid. I just remember like, oh my God, I can't believe this.
There was okay, speaking of showing your breasts.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, in Just One of the Guys, the reason that most people ended up watching it repeatedly is because Joyce Heiser, who plays Terry, does show her breasts at the end of the movie, which is the gratuitous nature of 80s movies. Like,
correct.
She didn't have to do that.
No.
It wasn't necessary. And then also, in the 80s, like you said, Christy McNichol showed her breasts, and Julie Andrews showed her breasts.
That's true.
And she was Mary Poppins and
Right.
Sound of Music.
That's a little crazy.
It was kind of a thing. And then a bunch of famous people were doing Playboy. It just was a time when there were, and in some ways I would like to see it as a positive, in that women got to own their own sexuality. Sure. A lot of times it's gratuitous. Again, this is a gray area because it's up to them.
Yeah.
If they're being forced, no, that's no good.
Right.
But if that's a choice they would like to make, that is.
And should we say who was her name? Joyce Heiser, you said?
Joyce Heiser.
Didn't she have some famous boyfriends for a while?
I don't remember.
Bruce Springsteen.
Whoa.
I think she dated him and some other crazy famous guy. So maybe I'll try to figure that out.
Okay, so that's just one of the guys. We'll keep talking about that movie, but the most important part is that Billy Zabka is, Greg in the movie. He is the villain, and that in Back to School, in European Vacation, I'm not going to talk about Back to School. Are you going to talk about it a lot?
A little bit.
In European Vacation, Billy Zabka plays Jack, who is Audrey Griswold's boyfriend.
Yeah.
In European Vacation, Dana Hill plays Audrey. And he's not necessarily a bully, but he's definitely a jerk.
She's very in love with Jack. His name is Jack. Is that correct?
Right.
Yes.
And I actually sent you a clip.
I know. I'm trying to find it.
Okay.
I accidentally closed that screen. Sorry.
No, take your time. So it's, again, when he would pop up in movies for us, we'd be like, oh, there he is. Again, not that we always knew his name, but we were like, it was very much somebody that we knew, and we knew what kind of character he was going to play.
That's right. I think this is it.
Okay.
Let's light him up.
Oh,
Yeah, that's right.
it's a little early though. Oh, that's all right. We'll let her play.
Audrey, will you please eat something?
All right, now, everybody, let's listen up here. Let's take a look at the map, go over our schedule here, okay? Now, plane is going to fly us from Chicago to London.
That's Madrid, Dad.
Oh, I think you're right, Russ.
See,
Be
Russ?
one of those old medieval maps.
But do we like Russ?
Yes.
Dad, I've made a decision. I can't leave Jack, and besides, the food in Europe is fattening.
Yeah, and I like her thin. She eats too much.
Bad.
Why don't you and I just go alone? It's obvious that the kids don't even want to go.
Of course they want to go. We're a family. We're going to Europe as a family.
Don't we have a say in this?
Yeah, I think we should have a vote on it.
Oh, so then they have a vote to see who votes for president, and Clark wins because both Clark and Ellen vote for Clark. Audrey votes for Jack, and Russ votes for Russ. So, anyways.
Well, you actually didn't get to my favorite part.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But it's okay. We got the gist of Jack by body shaming his girlfriend.
Yeah.
So I think we got the gist.
Yeah.
So basically, let's go back to setting the scene in terms of, just really kind of giving you foundation of what we're going to talk about here. Thank you. So Billy Zabka's characters, confident, physically dominant, totally arrogant, but he was very popular, considered intimidating, backed by a gang. He always had a crew with him,
Motorcycle
right?
gang.
So he wasn't just a villain in these movies or like, the jerk. It was a cultural lesson for our generation about who had power and who didn't.
That's right.
Okay. So for us as Gen Xers, Billy Zabka, he shaped our early ideas about cruelty, masculinity, and how power works in teen dynamics.
He was pretty, he was athletic, and he had money.
Correct. And he used physical force,
Sure.
Or intimidation. So, a lot of times, again, this is what the show is all about. We're just kind of passively like, oh, yeah, we grew up with those movies, but they're outdated. They are in us.
Yep.
These are the things we watched, learned, and to have a character that played that character over and over again, even if it was a different name in a different movie, it really was obviously a stereotype, but it was for us a very good lesson in entitlement and who had power, shortcuts to power. And, we didn't really talk about them being troubled or anything at that time. They were just the ones who, kind of took what they wanted and did what they wanted.
That's right.
You ready for the next category?
I am ready, and that means I'm playing this.
I remember when you couldn't wait.
I remember when.
What'd you remember?
I just thought, not necessarily about Karate Kid, but I just thought about my life experience when it comes to bullying, because that's what William Zabka represents. A few stories. I'll share the most embarrassing. Well, they're both pretty embarrassing now that I think about it. I won't name last names, but I remember when there's a man named Steve in high school, and I was kind of being a smartass, and I just kind of thought that he was not a risk to me, and he cold cocked me and punched me right in the mouth. And I was a freshman in high school, and my friends are probably like, go hit him back. I was terrified. Like I just got clocked right in the mouth. Like my lips were bleeding. So he bullied me. Thanks a lot. Or he just took he took a cheap shot at me because it's not like we squared off or anything. I was just being a smartass and he just hit me. And then my other reverses back to like fourth grade, and I was bullying this kid named Jim in gym class. And I was kind of hitting my floor hockey stick on his leg, and he was like really annoyed at me, and I just kept doing it for like a long time. And then he was so distraught that he was crying, like chasing after me, and I was faster than him. This is an awful story. Like I was just a very mean person that day.
You're being a jerk.
I was being a total jerk because I thought I was cooler than him or whatever.
You're
like,
being a Johnny.
I was being a Johnny. Fast forward like 25 years later, and I looked him up on Facebook because this story had been bothering me my whole life. And it turns out the dude is like a judge somewhere in Illinois. And I said, hey, would you be okay for a phone call? And he said, sure. And I told him the story. He had no recollection of the incident happening at all. And I really wanted to kind of just get this off my chest, which I did. And then after that, he's like, well, I don't remember that, but thanks for saying it, Todd. And then there was a total awkward silence. And I said, all right, good talking to you. And that was it.
Yeah.
Those are my two bully stories.
Yeah, well, maybe he didn't remember. And then he was like, okay, great. Thanks for sharing. Or maybe he did, and he didn't really feel like dealing with it.
Could be.
Either one. And he is justified in whatever he needs to do with his emotions. I didn't know we were going to talk about that, but I guess I'll share two stories since you shared two. Number one, a story that I've shared a lot and I've written about was when I was in fourth grade. There were two boys who actually continued to be friends of mine afterwards, but they were telling me that I had to do certain things or they would beat me up. Things like accept their advances that were romantic in nature, but not things that I was at all ready for in fourth
Yep.
grade. And it wasn't necessarily overtly sexual. It's just things like, say you're dating us, or we're going to kiss you on the cheek, or things that seemed somewhat maybe benign when you talk about it now, but I was not okay with this. And they were kind of, they would call to my friends' houses to see if I was there and threaten me. And it was just really scary. And so it's a good story of my dad, because I came home one time just devastated. I tried to keep this all in because I didn't want to get them in trouble, because they were guy friends of mine, this is why it always gets really hazy and weird. But I came home crying, and my dad's like, enough. And he went over there to the playground where they were. And he told them to never talk to me that way again.
Probably struck the fear of God into him.
And then the next day at school, they brought me a very large Hershey bar.
No.
And that
Did
was
you
it.
eat the Hershey bar? Did you
I
share it with your
remember.
friends at lunch?
I don't remember. I just remember it was very large. And I remember it wasn't like all over. I remember I had to still go through some like embarrassment that
Sure.
that happened. But that was very scary for me. And it did affect me. Like I've read about it a lot because it went on a long time. And then I guess my other story that I'll share, because there's a few, but is that when I was in high school, there was this girl, because by the time I got to middle school and high school, I knew how to play this game of not getting bullied.
Yeah.
I was very much a people pleaser. I could be a chameleon. People didn't get mad at me very much.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? I didn't push things. I was like, I tried to be very friendly. But there was this girl in high school who was mad at me for some reason that probably wasn't a thing I really did, but someone told her it was. So she told me to meet her after school and that she was going to beat me up. So I was like kind of a busy student, and I was like, okay, so I met her. Like I met her in the hall where she told me to meet, and she showed up. And she showed up and she was like, oh, okay, well, actually, I just wanted your help with this one class. And what do you think about this?
Wow.
And she had no intention of fighting me. She just kind of wanted to see if I'd show up. And I was like, I'll show up. It's kind of hard to remember it all, but I do remember being like, okay. And then we were friends from that point forward.
All right.
So that's that story. My other remember when is that Johnny, William Zabka, was on Tiger Beat and Teen Beat, just like all the guys from The Outsiders, just like Ralph Macchio. But girls didn't really, I mean, maybe some people listening are like, no, Johnny was my guy. But because he was the villain, you weren't as likely to put him on your wall.
Well, and I listened to a bunch of interviews of him, the actor, and he said it was really hard because everybody thought he was his character.
I'm sure they did.
And it turns out, at least everything I can find, he's just a sweetheart of a guy,
Yeah,
and really kind of funny and low key. And I got some other kind of trivia things about him, but yeah, I think he was not nearly as popular as whatever Rob Lowe, Tom Cruise, insert
Not at
whoever
all.
you want to do. And I think it's because of the character.
Right. He was willing to be the villain. And the reason that we know that he wasn't as popular is I didn't know his name until Cobra Kai started.
Yeah.
Like I watched all these movies. Maybe I would have like had some name recognition, but I couldn't just, I didn't really know it.
Yeah.
And then Cobra Kai started. I'm like, oh, this is the guy from all these movies. So that's the case. And then my last remember when, Todd, is you and me.
Uh-oh.
Because we dressed as
we did.
Johnny and
That's
Daniel
right. I
for
forgot about that.
Halloween. Do you remember which one you played?
I played the Cobra Kai.
You were
think.
Johnny.
Yeah.
Yep. And I was Daniel. And we have a great picture of me doing the crane
kicking.
kick.
Yeah, you crane kicked me.
Yes.
At Marty's bar.
At Marty's bar. And they were good costumes. Like we really got the costumes.
Yeah.
It was good.
We should find that picture.
Oh, we will.
Okay.
I still have it. So you ready to go to random facts?
Yeah, let's head on over to
8 pounds. Jared, do you know the human head weighs 8 pounds?
random facts. I think I'll go first. I don't have that many here. Extras, so we're talking Karate Kid, the original. Extras were so caught up in the tournament scene that they would boo William Zabka even when the cameras were not rolling. Zabka's mother was in the crowd and kept trying to tell people there's actually very nice in real life. And they actually, you could see her in the background of some of the shots.
No way.
Yeah, so he points it out. And the other one I have is that of the actors who the four main characters in The Karate Kid, Ralph Macchio, Pat Morita, Elizabeth Shue, and William Zabka, who does not have an Academy Award nomination?
Well, we know Elizabeth Shue does. We know, I know that William Zabka does, which we'll talk about that later. Ralph Macchio, does he have a, I'm going to say Ralph Macchio doesn't.
That's correct.
Oh, good.
William Zabka was a producer of a short film or something.
Yeah, called More.
Called More. Never seen it. Have you ever seen it?
No, I don't watch short films.
Neither. Yeah, I don't really that much either. And then Elizabeth Shue got it for Leaving Las Vegas.
And she did not win. On the rewatchables, they always say she won. She did not win.
Who won?
I don't remember.
Oh.
But it was not her.
And then Pat Morita received a best.
Maybe she did. Oh, shoot. I'm getting scared.
Okay.
That I'm giving. You look up Pat
We're about to
Morita.
find out. Pat Morita received a Best Actor in a Supporting Role nomination for Karate Kid. And Zabka was not co-nominated for his Best Short Film Live Action for the 2003 short Most.
No, she was in. She got nominated. I got scared for a second, but Nicolas Cage won for Leaving Las Vegas, which they were in together.
But you don't know who she lost to. I'll find it. You give me your random facts.
Okay, I will give you my random facts. Okay. So my random facts are, I'm just going to go back to just one of the guys, because again, this is the only time we're ever going to talk about this movie. It was based on Twelfth Night by William Shakespeare.
Really?
Did you know that?
No, I never wrote Twelfth Night.
You didn't wrote it?
I never read it.
You
I didn't
never-
write it or wrote it.
You didn't write it or wrote
read it.
Well, Twelfth Night is about a woman disguising herself as a man to access a world she's been shut out of. And then she faces unexpected love, confusion, confrontation, just like in Just One of the Guys. It's like such a crass movie that it's funny that, it comes from Shakespeare. But, that's kind of a thing that like 10 Things I Hate About You was based on Shakespeare. We just do this.
Yeah.
So that is one, and I could go through who each character is, but I think that's boring. We don't want to do that. And then the other thing that is kind of a random fact, and I did send you this video, if you have it ready, is that Zabka, so William Zabka, directed and starred in a music video for the band No More Kings. And he plays a fictional version of himself obsessed with Johnny Lawrence and still stuck in the 1980s. And this
Superhero of 1985, I showed no mercy. I was always more kind, but I brought a friend kicking to the legs. It's funny.
It's very funny. And the fact that he was on board with doing this is awesome. It just shows.
It's called, turn it up. It's called Sweep the Leg.
Johnny.
He's got a sense of humor about himself.
I know.
I love that.
I love that too. And that someone would write a song called Sweep the Leg.
Sweep it, Johnny. Sweep it.
That is hilarious. So that's all I have for random facts.
I do want you to know that Elizabeth Shue lost to Susan Sarandon.
Okay, for Dead Man Walking.
Dead Man Walking,
Okay.
1985.
Thank you for that clarification. And now I will never forget.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
This is the WTF portion of the podcast. One of my WTFs is let's go to the beginning of Karate Kid Part 2.
Okay.
Which was actually the original ending of Karate Kid Part 1.
Right.
They decided to end with the kick and Johnny giving Daniel the trophy, but originally the ending was going to be the beginning of Karate Kid 2, which is what's his name? Kreese.
Right. Kreese,
who really is the bully of this show.
He's the villain of the show.
He's the villain of the show.
And he's Johnny's coach for Cobra Kai.
And I feel like I wish I could pull it up. I don't know if I can, but it is.
Do they like jump Daniel in the parking lot?
Let me see if I can find it. I might have it here. Where are you? Go ahead.
So while you're looking for it, I will talk about also the end of Karate Kid, and this is a WTF moment, which is that Daniel wins the tournament with a crane kick to Johnny's face.
Yes.
But under all Valley rules, so All Valley is where they do this karate tournament, kicks to the face were illegal, which means that Johnny should have won.
That's right.
So Johnny was robbed and Daniel should have been disqualified. And that's a big part of Cobra Kai's lore.
You're really sick, man. Hey, come on. Hey.
So Kreese is choking Johnny right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Mind your business.
You're gonna kill him.
Sensei, please, you're hurting him. He's sorry, okay? He really is.
Wait. Let him go.
Yeah, that's right. Let him go.
I say, let him go. Beat it slow for your next.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
So then Kreese tries to punch Mr. Miyagi, and Mr. Miyagi dodges it, and Kreese puts his hand through a car window.
So that was supposed to be the end of Karate Kid.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm glad they didn't make that.
No, they knew what they were doing on how they ended it, but it's just like, Kreese, man, get a grip.
I know. It's so over the top, which Cobra Kai is over the top.
Well, and what's also interesting is, well, I hope we talk about Cobra Kai because it is an amazing show. I loved it. I just remember belly laughing throughout that series, even though I've never seen the last
season. Especially episode 1, season 1. I mean, we've seen the whole thing except for the last season.
Yeah.
So we saw season 1, 2, and 3. But the very first episode, Todd and I were like, this is genius.
It is genius. And here's the question. As we take a quick detour from the WTF moments, is there any other TV show or movie that we watched in the 80s that would work nearly as well as a rebirth of the Karate Kid series? Can you think of any? And I can't. Like, it's
got to be a TV show or a movie?
Yeah, just some type of revive, because they're always, whenever anybody revives anything, it's always bad.
Mm-hmm.
And 20 or 30 years later, they did this, and they did it well because they made fun of themselves.
They did it with Full House. They made Fuller House.
Yeah, and I didn't really see that show. And did they do it with Brady Bunch, or that was different actors?
It's so funny that you should ask this question because I just saw, I don't know why this came up. It's probably because I'm always looking at entertainment stuff, but the Brady Bunch had a TV show that only lasted a few episodes.
Sweetie, Brady Bunch was a TV show.
And it was called The Bradys. No, it was like a TV show when they were adults. It was like after the Brady Christmas and after all that.
Okay.
And everybody was in it except Marcia.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, how the Brady Christmas, Cindy wasn't in it.
Okay.
And then this TV show, The Bradys, Marcia wasn't in it, but everybody else did it. And not only that, Todd, I'm going to connect this. Oh, I love it when this happens. I'm going to connect this to our first episode of Zen Pop Parenting about MTV. Martha Quinn was a VJ. Martha Quinn played Bobby's girlfriend.
Martha
in
Quinn,
the
is she an actress?
I guess.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And the show was on so briefly that it didn't become anything.
The show appeared in February of 1990 on CBS. They had 6 episodes, canceled after low ratings. I would have watched it.
What? But when you say I would have watched it, you were around.
1 hour.
Why didn't you watch it?
Well, I was going into college, and you were going into freshman year or sophomore year of college.
We were watching Days of Our Lives.
You were at Peggy's drinking beer, sweetie.
I was.
There's a 1 hour format. Most of the original cast returned. How it was different. Unlike the lighthearted vibe of the Brady Bunch, the Bradys tackled dramatic and adult themes.
Oh, no.
Bobby became paralyzed in a racing accident. Marcia struggles with alcoholism.
Oh, my gosh.
Jan and Philip, I think that was her husband.
Yeah, Philip was her
deal with
husband.
fertility issues and adoption.
Oh, boy.
Peter has relationship trouble with his older partner, and Mike runs for political office.
Wow.
The reason it failed is because it aired on Friday nights at 8 p.m.
Yeah. Nobody's wanting to see the Bradys struggle unless it's with something like getting hit in the nose with a football. Like, let's keep it basic.
That's good stuff.
But yeah, so it is kind of crazy that that show was rebooted. They always try and like things get rebooted. Like About Last Night came out again a few years ago, not a few years ago, maybe like 5 years ago. Like they're always trying to reboot things.
Yep.
But it's got to have a different spin. Like the reason Cobra Kai was successful, at least for the first 3 seasons, is because it made us look at the show differently. So just, since we're here, Cobra Kai made us turn the show around and say, who is actually the villain? Was it Daniel or Johnny?
Mhm.
Because really, Daniel, if you kind of look at the scenes in a different way, Daniel was kind of not great to Johnny.
Right.
He took his girlfriend. He dumped water on him in the bathroom.
Oh, we're gonna get to all that.
So anyway, I won't step on the next category.
I feel like I want to play a little bit of the final scene where Johnny does the illegal crane kick. I'm sorry, Daniel, the illegal crane kick to Johnny.
Which is WTF.
First of all, goosebumps. Second of all, Johnny comes over
Don't do it because don't step on it.
Oh,
because I have
didn't
that
know
later.
Editing. Okay, so we won't step.
Hold that quote. It might be my favorite quote.
Holding that quote. What else do you have for WTF?
Last thing, play the first minute of the Just One of the Guys trailer because
okay.
it's so WTF.
Yes.
And you guys will get the gist. And maybe you can go find it on Pluto or Tubi or something. I don't know where it's playing these days.
Terry's a girl who wanted to be taken seriously,
I am going to be a reporter.
but her body kept getting in the way.
Pretty girl, you could be a model.
Sometimes I just wish I were a guy.
Well, you know, the male body needs sex at all times. It's a living hell.
So to prove to the men in her life she had a mind, Terry decided to try life as a guy.
How do I look?
Dashing.
My zipper's open.
That was the dashing part.
I think that's funny.
Great movie.
First of all, her body keeps getting in the way.
That's right.
It's her fault that she's got a rocking body. And because she's got a good body, she can't be taken seriously anywhere. It's such a trope. I mean, I'm even thinking about Working Girl. Remember Working Girl, Melanie Griffith,
Sure.
Harrison Ford, everybody. And that was like the problem, like she had this rocking bod and, it just gets in the way of business.
That's right.
And who's the one looking at it?
Right. The
Maybe
guys.
they're getting in the way.
Yeah.
Maybe they need to get their act together. But anyway, so I'm ready for Zen Parenting music whenever you are.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. All right. This is tipping our cap to the first 15 years of our podcast. And we're going to talk about some, I don't know, how would you describe it?
We're going to talk about, let's roll in the deep.
Let's go ahead
get
and
deep.
do that.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
What do you got? You want me to start or are you going to start?
It's totally up to you, honey.
You start.
Okay, so let's just get deep about the 80s bully, okay? Because this is really what we want to talk about in terms of how we can better see ourselves in our children, right? So the 80s bully is totally external, totally obvious, totally one-dimensional. Okay, they are just a bully. There's not much more to them. And Joey Lawrence, or not Joey Lawrence, that's a different guy from the 80s.
That's right.
Johnny Lawrence and Greg Toland and Jack from European Vacation, all these guys were meant to be hated. That was the goal, is to have someone for the protagonist to push up against. Privilege, arrogance, violence. He shoved, he humiliated, he assaulted. And this is what Gen X grew up with, you guys. Bullying happened out loud. Okay, so bullying was obvious. It was in broad daylight. It was often resolved with some kind of big climactic confrontation. Okay, so we had to have some big end fight or, something where, like a crane kick to the face, or in Just One of the Guys, the guy who Terry is into, Rick.
Yeah.
Once he feels cool because Terry gets him good clothes and he feels cool, he starts making fun of Greg in the lunchroom because Greg's big thing to intimidate people is he goes around the lunchroom and flips everybody's lunch table and food goes all over the place. So Greg starts pointing it out and saying I think I actually sent you a clip.
Of which one?
It's from Just One of the Guys and Greg.
Yeah, right here.
Okay.
That's the reason why I went through puberty.
I think you can forward a little bit.
Johnny's about to dump.
Oh, he's gonna. But I wanted to get to the part where Greg says something about it.
Got it.
I just want to apologize about neglecting you yesterday.
So
felt terrible, and just want you to know.
I think I put a number under it.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
Let me just head on over here.
Find out a little bit about the man behind the mess. Greg, may I call you Greg? Now tell us, Greg, how did you first get into spilling food? Huh? Were you a messy baby? Did you hate your strained peas? Well, most psychologists tell us that guys, they get into bodybuilding to compensate for either a lack of IQ or a small weenie.
Is that good?
So yeah, that's good. That's Rick.
Yeah.
Making fun of
Standing
Greg.
off.
So that's the big confrontation.
Yeah, right.
And there's a few others at the end, but that's like the first time where you're like, oh, he's getting, someone's taking him to task.
Right.
So I'll end with this part and then you can go on, is that reason we need to see this cultural script that we've written about what bullies are from our generation is how different it is now, because today's bully is a lot more subtle, a lot more social and a lot more psychological. It's very different. It doesn't look the way it did when we were growing up. The modern, our bully today is not punching people. Sometimes they are, I guess, but that's not really it. It's about manipulating group chats, spreading rumors, weaponizing social media, icing someone out, so it looks accidental, but really it's not. It's relational, performative, persistent. And it's not just about doing harm. It's about controlling people's narratives. It's about changing the way you look at people, or like canceling them, or, deciding who their audience is or should be. So, our generation says things to our kids like, well, they're not hitting you. You're not getting hit or beat up, so just ignore them. But this is kind of an old blueprint to understand what's happening. And I'll dive more into parenting when we get to that part, but that's kind of the way I see it.
I have a few things to add to your list. So I'm just calling it Gen X versus Gen Z. Gen X bullying, there's a social hierarchy based on looks and athletics, kind of we talked about.
Absolutely.
Gen Z, not that looks and athletics aren't still important, but social clout tied to identity, performance, and likes.
Yep.
In Gen X, humiliation in public. In Gen Z, humiliation goes viral.
And so, it's all on social media.
Gen X, rare adult intervention. Gen Z, teachers and parents expected to step in.
Yeah, in Gen X, like most of the time, our parents didn't even know these things were happening unless we got beat up and came home beat up.
Gen X, bullies are easy to spot. Gen Z, today's bullies may be silent, subtle, and even posing as allies.
Yes, exactly. That's the thing, is sometimes it can be really manipulative because it can be done behind the scenes.
And lastly, in the 80s, bullies punched you in the face. In 2025, they ghost you, meme you, destroy your self-worth in the group chat.
Yep. That's exactly it. So we have a really good archetypal 80s bully that we can talk about.
Yeah.
And he happens to be running the country.
Yeah.
Okay. Trump is the archetypal 80s bully. Okay. Wealth as dominance. I'm rich, so I'm right. Cruelty as strength. Name calling, belittling. Public humiliation as a form of power. Do I need to say more? That's during debates, rallies, tweets. Charisma that polarizes. People either fear him or follow him. It's so Gen X, you guys. And here's the problem. It's so familiar for people that are our age that it's recognizable, but it's normalized.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're kind of like, yeah, that's what they do, instead of like recognizing how deliberate and painful and that it can really be harmful. Like our conditioning is dulled. Like we say things like, oh, he's just being blunt, or, he just tells it like it is. But, our culture rewards these things that are actually so harmful. And our kids' generation, or at least most of them, I mean, some of them are some Gen Z are being pulled in different directions, but for the most part, they're so much more emotionally astute. Like they understand that kind of psychological harm so much better than our generation does. They're just emotionally fluent, so they recognize gaslighting, manipulation, toxic power. Even if they don't always have the words for it, they know, it's so Gen X, and it's not really edgy. It's just kind of embarrassing, So I just found that kind of interesting, it's such an archetype, and I'm sure we could come up with others.
Sure.
It just happens to be something that we're watching every day.
Yep. Are we ready for PG?
Let's
parental guidance.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Gonna be like you. And the cats in the cradle and the shoes. All
right. Parental guidance. What do we mean by this category, sweetie?
So this is just basically what we kind of touched on this in Rolling in the Deep, but what we can take from it to better understand ourselves and our children. The best predictor of a child's well-being is a parent's self-understanding. Did you know that?
I do.
So it's something that we've said a lot. And so this is a way to relate to our kids in a different way. And, the thing to start on is that our generation, we were trained to tough things out. Right? The whole idea of like sticks and stones, we're latchkey kids, we solve our problems by ourselves. We were taught to minimize emotional pain. We were taught to survive rather than talk about what was happening to us. Ours was so literal and so physical and so repressed. Okay. And our kids say things to us like, I'm really upset because this person left me unread. Mm-hmm. Okay. Or they say, my friend just took me out of the group chat. These things we were talking about before. And to us, to parents, sometimes this can sound petty, overly sensitive. When we grew up in an age where what we saw as bullying was getting a black eye or being put in a locker.
Yeah.
Like, even just think about, let's take it off of, Billy Zabka for a second. Pretty in Pink. What do they do to Ducky? They throw him in a locker. Some Kind of Wonderful. What did they do?
Technically, they threw Ducky into the bathroom. I don't think they threw him into a locker.
Oh, who did they throw in a locker?
I don't know.
Let's think about movies where they threw someone in. 16 Candles? No.
No, Farmer Fred or Farmer Ted was in the table, in that glass table.
He was in the glass table. Yeah. So, but you're being pushed around and put somewhere, somewhere away from people. I mean, there's plenty of TV shows where people are thrown in lockers.
Yes.
That is kind of a stereotype of, did you get thrown in a locker?
Yeah.
You know what that means. And we just had such more of a physical bullying that when our kids say things to us like someone left me unread, we view them as overly sensitive without acknowledging that that is the bullying of their time.
Yeah.
That is their experience. And so we can unintentionally invalidate them,
yep.
By saying, well, in my day, I had to run from the kids or whatever. And so it becomes a double wound for our kids when they're not only dealing with exclusion from their group, but they're also the pain of not being believed by their parents.
Truth.
So it is a cultural mirror for us to be like, the kind of bullying from Gen X still happens. It's out there, but
pile on this other
correct.
thing to it. Forget it.
Correct.
Yeah. Are we ready for what did it teach us?
Well, just a little bit more, just something
Sure.
that I want to say about Billy Zabka is that something that is really important to understand as far as the archetype is what does the archetype become? So like in a situation like our leader of our country, that whole bullying thing hasn't changed. There's been a maintenance of the same kind of power dynamic. I'm going to keep doing the same thing I've been doing my whole life. Where the interesting thing about William Zabka and doing Cobra Kai later on is it's an aging bully who is learning self-awareness, right? And so he's trying to, he's a parent in Cobra Kai. He has a son, and and he has another kid that he's teaching that is not his son, but he's, having him be like a son kind of figure. What am I saying? He treats him like a son.
Sure.
That's what I would say. And so he's parenting through his emotional blind spots. He's trying to find humility in the things he does. He's growing, he's realizing that the power that he used to exert when he was younger does not work when you're a parent. That kind of overt cruelty or authoritarianism or power over, it doesn't help you stay connected to your kids. And so if that is our modus operandi, it's something that we need to reconsider as far as being effective.
I don't know where I wanted to put this into the podcast, but I'm just going to throw it in here. It's Johnny's talking to, what's his name? I'm sorry. Yeah, Johnny's talking to Miguel. This is in Cobra Kai.
Yes, this is Cobra Kai. So Miguel is not his son, but it's someone that he kind of feels like fatherly toward.
And this clip is called Johnny Spins the 1984 Story His Way.
Oh, good.
Then Daniel LaRusso came into town.
This is it. This is the end of the line.
Next thing I know, he's hitting on her. I see the two of them flirting with each other. What did you do? Oh, I walked over to have a civil conversation with Allie.
What is your problem? Look, why don't you just take your little Cobra Kais and get out of here?
Oh, yeah, right. That's going to solve everything.
Russo kept butting.
Johnny.
All right.
When you get lost, mind your own business. Out of nowhere, the guy sucker punches me.
What an asshole.
I know, man. I did what any dude would do. I defended myself. Oh, I figured that was that. LaRusso wouldn't leave it alone. At the Halloween dance, I'm sitting there minding my own business. He douses me with the water hose. Haven't seen the guy in months. And turns a water hose on my head. So I chase him down, try to put an end to things that night, right? Turns out the guy's got a karate master of his own. Guy comes out of nowhere, jumps us, assaults me and my friends. I think my buddy Tommy got brain damage because of that fight. Oh my God. Eventually we decided to work things out at the All Valley tournament. We both made it to the finals. It was 2-2. What happened? Who won? LaRusso won. I lost. But what's worse is I lost Allie. Yeah. All right, the reason I'm telling you all this is because you got to watch out for the LaRussos.
That's
So
such
Miguel-
a good encapsulation.
It is. And Miguel is kind of into Daniel LaRusso's daughter.
Samantha? Is her name?
Samantha, Sam.
But he doesn't say that the crane kick was illegal. He says it at other parts of the show.
He does. And because he doesn't show it, that he stops the comment. But yeah,
Right.
he said it was an illegal crane kick. So basically, that's a beautiful synopsis. And so we can see, to close this category out, like we can see William Zabka as a guy who was shaped by his culture, shaped by his time, but he wasn't given emotional tools, right? That's so Gen X. And in a way, he becomes the metaphor for Gen X itself because he's trying to catch up emotionally. He's trying to parent differently. He's trying to understand what went wrong and how to make it right. So he is a reflection of our generation, what we came from and what we're trying to be.
There you go.
Okay.
What did it teach us? Are you ready for that, or did you already do that?
Let's do it.
All right. What did it teach us? I don't know if I have anything in here. Yeah, it's kind of cheesy. Winning at all costs leaves you hollow. You need to have honor. That's what I got for what did this Karate Kid trilogy, whatever it is. Actually, there's like 5 movies. Teach me, winning isn't necessarily going to get you what you want.
I agree. And also that the way we look at people, if we're going to use empathy and compassion here, like Johnny wasn't born a villain, right? He was trained to be a villain.
Yeah.
Okay.
From Crease.
So, from Crease and from whoever Greg Tolan's dad was, and just one of the guys and whatever. So we know that Johnny in these movies was abused and manipulated by adults. He wasn't evil. He was insecure and angry and wanted belonging. He didn't get the tools he needed to deal with emotion. So he kept repeating the same patterns. So bullying is a symptom. It's not the core issue. Bullying is always a symptom because, as we always say, hurt people hurt people. And, generational pain. How do we change that?
Yeah.
You just don't grow out of it. You have to unlearn it.
You ready for some Crease highlights?
Let's do it.
Oh, it's got music. Oh, it's a really good clip, but it's all set to music. I wanted to hear
bummer.
him talk. That's too bad.
Can I offer one other thing that maybe could have gone under parenting, but I guess we can, talk about it in terms of, what it taught us. There has been some good like pop culture shows that have been more helpful than, the Gen X stuff. Like, even though this was somewhat controversial, 13 Reasons Why, which was on Netflix, talked about social bullying. And, unfortunately in this show, there's a girl who dies by suicide. So it's pretty intense. But at the same time, it's about, when adults aren't noticing these things. Then we have Mean Girls, which was...
Oh, sweetie, you're stepping on some toes of mine.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. I was gonna do something fun that you don't know about yet.
Well, I'll say this, just a few things that we can say to our kids to rewire our Gen X response. Okay.
Yeah.
So because we have to have a better understanding of what bullying is for them, instead of saying to them, that's just drama, we can say, tell me what happened.
Mm-hmm.
How did it feel?
There you go.
Instead of saying they didn't do or say anything that mean, we can say, I wonder how you felt when that happened. Tell me about it. Instead of you need to toughen up, which is so Gen X, is you don't deserve to be treated that way. I agree with you. Like, let's talk about this. And, I happen to write a book called Restoring Our Girls, where I give a bunch of examples like this, where we, how to relate to our kids, even though we may have not had the experiences they did, their experiences are their own, they're brand new. And our way of relating to them and asking good questions is how we stay connected to them. So it just shifts the door from, the cultural message that we're kind of shut down to validating, connecting, and healing. All right.
I'm going to play a little bit of John Kreese being a bully.
Okay.
And then I'm going to, I came up with a little fun little thing that I want you to answer questions to.
Okay, great.
When I'm out of commission.
But Sensei, I can beat this guy.
Don't want him beat
But I'll be disqualified.
out of commission.
Thanks a lot, Kreese. And
What is he telling him to do?
to go for his knee.
That's right.
Turn, kneel.
Sweep the leg.
You telling Johnny that.
You have a problem with that?
Mrs.
So at that moment, you can feel sorry for Johnny. He doesn't have much of a choice other than to stand up for this guy, stand up to this man who's probably gonna kill him if he doesn't do what he says.
Literally, he's being so manipulated. He's been taught to be this way. I mean, the whole thing about Cobra Kai is no mercy. That's their tagline. And then as you already played, the guy chokes him.
Yeah.
Like with a trophy.
Yeah, like 10 minutes later after the tournament's over. Okay, so this is the fun thing.
Okay.
We're gonna come up with the best movie that has some element of bullying in it. Okay. I have 8 different movies that you're familiar with.
Okay.
And you're gonna pick, I'm gonna give 2 movies to you and you pick one which one should advance to the next round.
Okay.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty in Pink.
Okay.
Ducky gets a little bullied.
By
Steph and the whole Blaine thing. And the movie Carrie.
Oh, Carrie's worse.
Okay. So you're and there's no parameters. I just want you to pick whatever movie you think should advance, whether it's how good of a movie it is or whether how good of a movie about bullying it is. You decide. Karate Kid versus My Bodyguard from the 1980s. Matt Dillon, Chris Makerpiece.
I know that movie. And so I'm gonna, because we're talking about Johnny, I'll do Karate Kid.
All right,
I
Karate
like
Kid
My Bodyguard though.
goes to the next round. Dazed and Confused.
Okay.
I don't know how many times you've seen that.
A couple.
And Can't Buy Me Love with Ronald Miller.
I'll go Can't Buy Me Love.
All right, Can't Buy Me Love gets that one. And then lastly, Mean Girls versus Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, why'd you put those two against each other?
I don't know. You got to choose one, babe.
I'm going to go Mean Girls, even though Revenge of the Nerds
Mean Girls advances. Now, it's Carrie versus Karate Kid.
Oof. I'm going Carrie.
Carrie, I figured. And then Can't Buy Me Love versus Mean Girls.
Mean Girls.
So in the championship round, it's Mean Girls versus Carrie.
Carrie
who wins. I figured she'd win.
Dude, they were so cruel to her. And then they poured pig blood on her.
Yes.
And then she had to shut the doors and bad things happened.
A lot of bad things happened.
Yes, it was not good. We'll just say that. That was
okay,
good.
are we ready for Cringe or Classic?
Yes, I am.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
Nobody, and I mean nobody, puts baby. This is a great category for this podcast because I think this is an absolute classic.
Cringe or Classic, and you go Classic.
Because they rebooted it in a way that was amazing. Cobra Kai is just a very funny, I think it's more funny than anything else.
Oh yeah, it's so satisfying.
Yes, and they like just make fun of each other in a really funny way. Like something, I think Johnny paints a penis on a billboard
that says Daniel
for Daniel's car dealership. It's just hilarious.
Okay, so let me just say this to you because we're talking about many things in this episode. The character of Johnny, Cringe or Classic?
I think he's a classic bully.
Okay. William Zabka as an actor. Cringe
love it.
Classic.
All the interviews I saw him, he seems like a very tenderhearted, sweet man.
Smart.
Yeah. I'm going classic for him.
Okay. Karate Kid, you already said classic.
Yep.
Cobra Kai.
Classic.
Just one of the guys.
Classic.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go Back to School. We didn't talk about that much.
Back to the School is pretty cringy. I do have one little clip from Back to School. Let me see if I can find it. It's right here.
Yeah, I know. Hi, Valerie.
Hi.
That's Johnny.
You look great.
Thanks. Are you taking astronomy too?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. I don't really want to. I'm a business major, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, they want us to take a science. Listen, you mind if I sneak in a line here with you?
Oh, well, actually, these guys were nice enough to let me in, so it's really up to them, I guess.
And those guys are the guy from Christine that you hate.
Oh, that actor.
And Robert Downey Jr. So he's about to talk.
Melon, buddy, what do you say? Let me in, okay?
I don't think so, Osborne.
Melon, about your friend here, straighten him out.
Look, Chaz, there's a lot of people waiting. It wouldn't really be fair, you know?
I'll tell you what. Maybe if you got a note from each and every one of these people saying that it was all right, then we'd reconsider. But until that day, take a hike, you elitist fraternity scumbag.
Ooh.
The only reason.
They're pushing back on Chaz.
Oh, yeah. And Chaz looks like Johnny, except he's got longer hair.
Yes. It's like a mullet.
Much more wavy hair. So, anyways, so yeah. Back to School is pretty cringy.
Okay. And then we already said
European?
European Vacation.
It's got the best Russ of all time.
Todd, that is so wrong.
It is not wrong. I know Anthony McGall. Fine. I'll give that to you.
He is the best Rusty, and the best Audrey is in the original Vacation as well. Maybe close second Juliette Lewis in Christmas.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's not that good in Christmas, do you think?
But it's just Juliette Lewis, so I
Yeah.
just like her.
Yeah.
Oink oink.
Oink, oink, my good man.
I'm the only one who likes that movie line, but I love it. So, anyways.
We only like one scene from that movie. Okay. So I am going to agree with you on everything except Back to School. But
Okay.
did you call it cringe or classic?
I called it cringe.
Okay, then I agree with you on everything.
There you go.
Okay, let's do the best quote.
Oh, I thought we were doing music game. Best quotes next? Sorry. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think
music
so.
games at the end.
May the force be with you.
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 All right, what do you got for best quote, sweetie?
You almost said it earlier, which is, "You're all right, LaRusso."
Yes, that is good.
When Daniel, wins the match, Johnny actually comes up to him, brings the trophy, and says, "You're all right, LaRusso," which is a quick turn. Like, considering we've had 2 hours of him not being all right with LaRusso, but I think because of the sweep the leg fiasco, he kind of has a change of heart.
Yeah. I want to find the scene where they say the most famous line of all time. You know the one I'm talking about?
Wax on, wax off.
No. Hold on, I gotta find it. That's the one right there.
So you okay? Can you go on? All right. Warning.
But you can't use "get him a body."
So you okay? Can you go on? All right.
That line has been said so many times in my circles of guy friends.
Who says it? It's not Johnny.
It's some twerpo kid who's a Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
But it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the best quote.
Get him a, and it was improvised, right?
Was it? I don't know. I have no idea.
I feel like we actually did a pop culturing, an old podcast we used to do about Cobra Kai, I think. And you know what? Maybe we'll put it on this feed as we'll replay it, like a looking back. So that's my best
Wax
quote.
on, wax off is probably
That's
my
another one.
second favorite.
Yeah,
Are we ready for Where Are They Now?
I am.
Where are you now? Where are you now that I need you?
What do you got for Where Are They Now? Go ahead. you can
I
do
just
this one.
focused on Billy Zabka, and he's married. He has 2 kids. They have a very private life. Like his wife doesn't really show up to all the things, which I can totally understand. She does sometimes, but and he, as we already discussed, he got an Academy Award nomination for co-writing and producing a short film called Most in 2003. And then obviously being a big part of Cobra Kai, he's a producer on Cobra Kai. Like, he's not just acting, he's like part of the writing and producing process.
And I also think he's an atheist.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. I found it somewhere. No shade. Believe what you want. But I thought that was
Absolutely.
interesting. Okay.
Music game?
Music game. First, I got to play the song.
So, no one makes me go all night long.
Okay. So, my understanding of this category is if we were going to encapsulate either this podcast or the topic of this particular podcast, William Zabka, Bullying, Karate Kid, what would that song be? Is that
Definitely.
a good way of explaining it?
I would say, as our girls would say, it's more of a vibe.
Yeah.
It's what is the vibe of what we've been talking about today on this podcast? What is the vibe of the history of, Johnny Lawrence and Billy, William Zabka? And again, I always say this on the show, it shouldn't be super obvious. Like, we wouldn't choose You're the Best Around from Karate Kid because that's way too obvious. It has to be something that we are willing to share. It's kind of introspective and thoughtful, and we're willing to fight for it.
Okay.
So you go first.
I'm a little worried that you're going to make fun of mine.
I'm worried we're going to have the same one.
I don't think there's any chance we have the same one.
Oh, okay.
I'm first going to set it up and then I'm going to play the song.
Okay.
My setup is Johnny came in the 80s, 1984.
He sure did.
Johnny came back strong in the 2000s, and I'm playing this song from the 90s.
Okay.
That kind of speaks to not giving up.
Okay.
Okay, you with me? Johnny gets knocked down, but it came full circle. He was the good guy in Cobra Kai.
You know what? I think it's good.
Nice.
I like your pick.
I was a little nervous.
Yeah.
All right.
So my pick is more in the 80s, the vibe of Johnny from that time.
Okay.
Or the character that William Zabka would play. And I'm going with Whitesnake.
Oh, here I go again?
Correct.
Here I go again. All right. Let's get a little bit of that going. 2 solid picks, sweetie.
I think this, if Johnny could sing a song, I think he would sing this song.
I don't know where I'm going. Songs of yesterday.
Dude's got quite the head of hair.
I've made up my mind.
All right. Can't play the whole thing.
Even though it's one of the best songs of all time. Can I say something quick about this?
Sure.
About this Whitesnake song? I want to say that why our generation loves this song so much is all of us thought we were like the person singing this. I think there's something interesting about being a teenager where you're so angsty and you're like, even like high school was great to me. I loved high school. It was, fine. I really, for all the challenges that I had emotionally or whatever, it was great. But still, I'm thinking that song represents the way I was feeling, right? It's so silly. But it's not silly because in the time you're feeling it. You just feel like everything is just on your back. You know what I mean? And I just think it represents our generation so well, because do you know anybody who doesn't like this song or have a story about this song? Like most people, even if they don't like hair bands, they love this song.
I think this is one of those songs where most people will, if you gave Truth Serum,
they would say,
would say, yeah, I remember the song. It was catchy. They might be like, well, it wasn't my favorite song, but most people would agree.
I also think that as I'm talking about it, I probably would guess, we didn't rewatch Cobra Kai, but I think they probably played this in Cobra Kai.
Yes, because they played a lot of these types of songs that Johnny's like driving down the car in his Trans Am or whatever it was.
Driving down the road, yeah.
And these are the types of songs that he would play.
So because we're talking about songs, can I just offer one more thing?
Sure.
There's sometimes songs that we don't really understand what they mean, but we like them and we consider them like vibes or jams. And we're like, oh, we love this song, but we don't know what it means. For example, Pumped Up Kicks by Foster the People.
Okay.
Do you know what that's about?
I don't.
People love that song, and it's got this really like indie kind of tempo. It's like, and it's actually, well, play it first so people can kind of know what it.
Is this it?
Uh-huh. Maybe get to the chorus a little bit.
I've never heard this song.
Okay, so this song is about someone contemplating a school shooting.
Oh, wow.
I know. And every time I hear it when I'm with Skylar, it's like a terrifying song, but
wow.
people like think of it as being really poppy. Another one that I always find interesting is Chandelier by Sia. I think that people think about that song being like, I'm going to go out and have fun, but really the whole song is about her alcoholism.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's about addiction and spiraling into mental health. And autobiographical for Sia. And then the last one I'll do, I have like 8, but I'll just do one more. Mr. Brightside by The Killers. This song is about total obsessive jealousy, about spiraling into paranoia after a breakup. It's like a total anxiety attack, but we think about it as like, This is such a party song.
All right.
So anyway, just I think about that with Here I Go Again, because all of us think that we like get the song,
And we
but
probably don't.
no. Okay.
Are you
so
ready
that's
for
it.
trivia?
I'm ready.
Okay. So I think these first one are
Where's your
either
sounds?
about, oh yeah, I have trivia. That's right. Forgot about this. I think these first set are about either Karate Kid or Cobra Kai. Some of them are easy, some of them are medium, some of them are difficult. What is the name of the dojo Daniel LaRusso runs?
Miyagi-Do.
Very good. What unique costume does Daniel wear to the Halloween dance?
He wears the shower
Very good.
curtain that he wore to, the shower curtain.
What's the name of Johnny's son in Cobra Kai?
It's not Ricky. I know it because I think Wyatt looks like him.
Yeah, he does look like him.
What is his name?
His name is Robbie.
Robbie, thank you.
What is the name of the new dojo Johnny Lawrence starts in season 3 of Cobra Kai?
Eagle Scream?
Eagle Fang.
Eagle Fang.
Which actor plays John Kreese, Johnny's former sensei in Cobra Kai?
I don't know that guy's name.
His name is Martin Kobe, who was also in Cagney and Lacey, I'll have you know.
Really? Was he their boss?
No, I think he was like just a sidekick. He was a side cop.
Oh.
What's the motto of Cobra Kai dojo?
No Mercy.
No.
It isn't?
No.
Cobra Kai Dojo. I don't know.
Strike first.
Oh.
Strike hard. No mercy.
Got it. Okay.
What does Mr. Miyagi gift Daniel for his birthday?
Car, a convertible.
A 1948 Ford Super Deluxe, which Ralph Macchio still owns to this day.
Shut up. That's cool.
What's the name of the apartment complex where Daniel and his mother moved?
Oh, I don't know the name of it. I can see it in my mind.
South Seas.
I never got that.
What city do Daniel and his mother move from?
Somewhere like New York, New Jersey?
Newark, New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey.
What's the name of the Cobra Kai student who tells Johnny to get him a body bag?
That's what I was asking you. What was his name? I feel like it was a nickname.
What's funny is, and funny, not funny. First of all, his name was Tommy.
Tommy. Okay. Tommy.
And in Cobra Kai season 1, the character dies and they zip him up in a body bag. And later on that year or the year after, the actor actually died.
So they were trying to be kind of silly,
Yeah.
but he would actually died.
Yeah. Which character wins the 50th All Valley tournament in season 1 of Cobra Kai?
I think Miguel.
Very good.
Yeah.
Who's the co-founder of Cobra Kai alongside with John Kreese?
That guy with the ponytail.
His name is Terry Silver.
Terry Silver, yes. Him.
Some back to school trivia, which you're going to be bad at. What famous writer made a cameo appearance in the film?
No idea.
Kurt Vonnegut.
Okay.
What 80s band performed at Thornton's party?
No idea.
Oingo Boingo.
Oh, Sweetie used to think that was a punk band.
I did. What's the name of the outrageous dive Thornton does in the swim competition?
No idea.
The Triple Lindy.
Okay. Do you know these?
I do.
Should I be asking you?
Yeah, but I had to find them.
Oh, okay.
Just one of the guys. You ready?
I think I could do it. Let's see.
What does Terry suggest using to hold on an earring when the back is missing?
An eraser.
The end of a pencil eraser. What's the name of the guy Terry falls for while disguised as a boy?
Rick.
Very good. What is Terry's disguise that ultimately gives her away at the prom?
Her disguise?
What is Terry's disguise that ultimately gives? So how does she reveal that she's not who she is?
She opens her shirt and shows her breasts.
Very good. Finally, European. What game show do the Griswolds win their European vacation on?
Pig in a Poke.
Very good. And lastly, what historic landmark does Clark accidentally destroy?
I don't remember.
It is Stonehenge.
Stonehenge. Oh, yes. You know what we didn't talk about? Not that it's super important, but we say it all the time. We have this thing where we'll say, when we talk about Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't find it.
You couldn't?
No.
We say Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah.
And we got that from just one of the guys.
Yeah.
Because Rick said, because I think Terry comes up to him and says, I'm a guy.
Yeah.
And he says, and I'm Cyndi Lauper.
Should we play off with Cruel Summer by Bananarama?
That's a great idea.
All right. So,
which is in both Karate Kid and Cobra Kai.
Yeah. So I don't know what our next one is going to be, sweetie. Do you?
What it's going to be or when it's going to be? It's
What?
going to be next week.
What?
I have some ideas, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
But stay tuned because something good's coming.
Thanks for checking us out. We'll see you guys next Tuesday. Keep trucking.